Hi, Movie the Recap here, and welcome to my channel. Warning! Spoiler alert. A new experiment by the enigmatic Dr. Voyan awards couples with $5 million if they spend 50 days in a spotless room. The award lowers to $1 million if one of them withdraws. Only each other's companionship is provided. There is no interaction with the outside world and no entertainment. However, they can purchase treats by using a portion of the winnings. Mike and Kate, the modern pair, anticipate easy money. Kate believes they deserve a second shot, and Mike believes they were very lucky to find this location. She does, however, add that, for convenience's sake, perhaps they ought to divide the cash. Mike thinks that her plan to invest the money is really uninteresting. He imagines his future as one of partying and enjoying himself without ever having to worry about money. They check out the location when they hear the AI voice, remind them of the regulations, and realize they weren't joking when they said it was immaculate. After hearing the AI voice, there are only a bed and a bench in the room, which is all white. In accordance with the guidelines, only one person is permitted to use the plain restroom. A large clock above the exit door that counts down the amount of time they have remained in the experiment. A red button they can use to escape. A touch screen where they can ask for treats. Their meals consist of tasteless white shakes that are packaged in white cartons and are intended to meet their daily nutritional requirements. Additionally, the room has automatic lights that adjust during the day to signal morning, noon, evening, and when night falls, which is a sign they must heed to go to bed. While Mike intends to treat this as a vacation and sleep in late, Kate sets up an early alarm so she can maintain some feeling of routine. They can set an alarm on the touch screen. On their first night, Mike tries to occupy Kate before they go to bed, but she is concerned that the professor might be watching them. Mike insists, so they ultimately do it in secret under the blankets. When dawn arrives, Kate walks to the bathroom to see herself in the mirror and say a few encouraging words to herself to keep her spirits high and her goals clear. They both take a shower, put their clothing in the washing chute in the bathroom, and in return get pretty simple pajamas, but at least these are colored. To keep themselves occupied, Mike tells Kate about the documentary he saw about this guy's previous experiment, which resulted in a catastrophe for a blue-collar family. Kate is trying to figure out why Voyan is doing this experiment. Nobody understands the motivation behind Voyan's actions. All they know is that he has a lot of money and enjoys using it to place individuals in unusual situations because he is fascinated by the human condition. Sooner than they anticipate, they run into trouble keeping themselves entertained. While Mike frequently fixes his gaze on the time, Kate enjoys quiet meditation. Mike, meanwhile, occasionally veers off on philosophical tangents on things like the meaning of the color white, which he dissects using all of his knowledge from art school, or the proper way to wash their teeth. Although Kate frequently urges him to focus on the task at hand and avoid staring at the time, Mike finds it difficult to think positively when he can't even get to sleep. Making the bed and saying encouraging things to Mike are still part of Kate's daily routine. Mike attempts working out, primarily by running, while Kate meditates. They interact through dancing, playing Marco Polo, and hand-clapping games. Every time they remove their filthy pajamas, they are handed an identical set of new ones. After a few weeks, something unexpected eventually occurs. Mike discovers a bug that has snuck into the room. Mike tries to give the machine some of the meal shake after baby talking with it, but as soon as he spills some on the ground, the AI voice reminds them that food can only be utilized for consumption by the competitors. Fearing the bug won't survive in this environment, Mike assures the small one that he doesn't want to leave and asks for a method of letting him out. Mike decides to push the door opening button when Kate informs him that the speaker through which the AI voice emanates doesn't appear to be two-way, despite her previous attempts. This causes a fight because, even if Mike doesn't genuinely depart and merely puts his hand out for a silly bug, Kate is confident that pressing the button will result in their defeat. Kate accuses Mike of being condescending because she isn't vegan like him, after he tells her the insect is a sentient thing and that she lacks compassion. As the dispute rages on, Kate ultimately admits that she believes Mike is only vegan because he wants to annoy his wealthy father, who provided for Mike's every need. As a result, Mike never experienced suffering, and now he wants to have hipster street art cred. When Kate attempts to leave this talk, but trips over the bug, Mike finds it difficult to believe her. When she claims it was an accident and extends her sincere apologies, Mike spends the remainder of the day pouting in a corner until deciding that enough is enough and that staying inactive is unhealthy. Mike will ask for $1 even if it means taking $100,000 out of their winnings, because each of them can accept 2 snacks. Despite Kate's disapproval, Mike goes ahead with his treat nevertheless, which turns out to be a single green crayon. Even if it's not much, Mike can now paint on the walls, which is something. After watching him for a time, Kate approaches him and requests that he draw her. Mike agrees, but because he thinks realistic photos are dull and prefers to stay with his own style, Kate no longer wants to be a model for him. When Mike runs out of crayon and leaves green stains all over the bathroom and the floor towel, Kate becomes angry and scolds him. Later, Kate apologizes for acting like a twit and says that although it is harder than she anticipated, they still only have 20 days left. Days go by in monotony until Kate wakes up one morning to discover a gun in the bathroom. Because the AI bans them from placing items, other than clothing, inside the washing chute, they choose to hide it under the bed because they are too afraid to check if it is loaded and because its presence is disturbing. The pair is eventually given Connect Time, which will play for the messages received by their loved ones. After some time has passed, Mike receives a message from his sister, who updates him on how she and their parents are doing, while also expressing her suspicion that Mike and Kate are no longer dating. A view of his sister makes Mike extremely happy, but Kate doesn't want a connection of her own and becomes alarmed when a video of her dad appears on the screen, showing him now living in a shelter after being off the streets for so long. Kate tries to stop the recording, but it won't budge, so she goes to hide behind the bathroom door. Mike walks over to soothe her as she sobs. When the alarm goes off in the morning, Kate stays in bed all day since she can't get out of bed and is in a melancholy mood after sleeping by holding to her partner. When Mike expresses his concerns, Kate explains that she hasn't seen her father in a long time and that she has always lied to Mike about his identity out of shame for her father's reckless spending of the family home, Kate's school fees, and her prospects of developing normally. With just over 2 weeks left, Kate continues to stay in bed as Mike looks for new ways to pass the time. He may alter his paintings by smudging the crayon with his fingers or read the pajama label while playing out as many different emotions as he can. He tries to get Kate to eat by making jokes about the food, but it doesn't work, so he decides to get into bed with her in the hopes of helping her feel better. Mike occasionally chooses to sleep on the floor just to experience something different because it still doesn't work. He attempts to persuade Kate to take a treat one morning, but she refuses to risk losing that money. Kate is eventually motivated to get out of bed when Mike, who is growing more and more frustrated, says he's not sure he can do this anymore. However, she encourages Mike to accept his second treat, even if it costs $250,000 before she gets in the shower. Mike does so, and is startled to see the door open, letting Simone, a naked lady, enter the room. She is only an actress, getting paid for a job that involves signing numerous NDAs. She is unaware of the project, and although she was scheduled for a month, her agent stated she will likely only be there for 24 hours. Simone needs to at least partially cover up because Kate doesn't enjoy having her around, and forces Mike to give her his t-shirt. More to Kate's annoyance, Simone observes Mike's artwork and compliments it, even noting the influences. When it gets dark, Mike offers to take the girls' beds and sleep on the floor, and Simone offers to stay awake while they sleep. They're making an effort to be polite, but Kate finds it annoying and thinks they can all share a bed as long as she lies in the center. Kate is the one who has problems falling asleep that night. Simone is really in the bathroom when Kate wakes up in the morning and doesn't see her on the bed. Kate decides to take a treat because she can't handle it any longer and is given a small package containing 3 delightful candies. Simone accepts one from Kate right away, but Mike only accepts one after much deliberation. The 3 of them start to dance and thrash about the space while exchanging a few group kisses. After a while though, Mike starts having awful dreams in which he sees blood all over the place and dreams that he is underwater while watching his younger brother fall with him. Although the women pull Mike back to reality, he remains fearful and requests to leave while making references to Sean and drowning. He needs to be coddled until he falls asleep, then Kate has to drag him back to bed. When Simone inquires as to what Mike had been discussing, Kate replies that he had been talking about his younger brother Sean drowning in the family pool while Mike was supposed to watch after him, which still bothers him. Mike was under the influence of drugs at the time, which aggravates his injury and explains why he hesitated to accept the candy at this location. When Simone inquires about how they met, Kate recalls warmly how Mike approached her on a rainy day when she was without an umbrella and offered to catch all the raindrops so she wouldn't get wet. Once Mike is finally awakened, Simone reveals that she lost her mother when she was a little child, and the 2 of them form a relationship over loss and pain. When Kate sees them, she runs out, believing Simone is trying to steal her lover. Simone holds Mike's hand as she comforts him. Simone criticizes Kate's attitude and argues that she is truly insecure, which causes Kate to react aggressively. As Mike begs at them to stop before leaving, Kate tries to apologize by acknowledging that she probably saw nothing. Simone fanned the flames by responding that perhaps it wasn't. Mike isn't feeling well the next morning, but Kate is occupied with other tasks. Simone has finally left, but she left a note in green crayon thanking Mike for a great night on the wall. When Mike explains that he didn't do anything and that this is similar to the gun, something the room is doing to screw with them, Kate freaks out and doesn't listen. Kate knocks Mike to the ground out of rage, causing him to bleed and suffer head injuries. Mike moves away from her and tells her that he has never cheated on her, even when she relocated to New York. He also stops hanging out with his supposedly wealthy friends so as not to embarrass her, and chose to forget finishing college in order to stay at home with her. He only receives jealousy in return when she was still depressed. Crying Kate keeps saying she's sorry, but Mike's dizziness from the wound cut short their chat. He genuinely believes he needs medical attention, but Kate gives him some of the meal shake so he can get some sugar in his system and covers his wound with a towel, pointing out to Mike that the contract specifically stated they didn't have any room for medical intervention. Mike can't believe what he's hearing and begins to wonder if Kate actually gives a damn. He is afraid of how far she would have gone. If the wound had been deeper, perhaps she would have let him bleed for money. However, the wound turns out to be tiny and finally stops bleeding. Mike decides to leave and extends an invitation to Kate to do the same because he hates what this place has done to them and realizes that no amount of money would make them any less shattered. Kate declines, pointing out that he has always had money, making it easier for him to act like this, and she even gets the pistol to intimidate him into staying. Only a few days before the victory, Mike chooses to ignore her and push the button instead, leaving the room at last. After spending a lot of time lying down and stressing out in the shower, Kate notices the raindrop drawing on the wall, which prompts her to press the button and weigh her alternatives, given that she only has 2 days left. Many months later, Mike, who is now single, is out on a run when he notices Kate emerging from a structure. They decide to go for a stroll to catch up, because they haven't seen one other since the room. But when Mike asks Kate if she won or left the room, she avoids answering. However, at least she expresses regret for what occurred. As they leave, it becomes clear that the structure is the homeless shelter. A sign on the building reads, "An anonymous donation allowed us to create the new kitchen." A fresh pair enters the spotless room in the meanwhile to accept the challenge.